Hello, if you have tried to print and cut out a design using opaque heat transfer paper for dark and coloured fabrics using your silhouette contour cutter, you may have found the cutter has not cut the way you wanted and left small areas of white unprinted transfer on your design. This can be quite frustrating as it can be quite noticeable on your finished item. First, we would recommend you run the calibration process for your cutter within Silhouette Studio. It can be found by clicking on Help and typing calibration, and then clicking on it. Then follow the steps on the right. Once this is complete, you still may find that there are white edges around your design. So let's look at how we can tackle this through the design itself and the way it's set up to cut on Silhouette Studio. To achieve this, we need the cutter to cut fractionally within the printed area. This will ensure that there is no white left around the edge. If you do that, you will be losing small amounts of your image, therefore altering its appearance. This is a consideration, and here are 2 ways to approach this. The ideal way to go about this is within your chosen image editing software, expand just the outer part of your image outwards by about 1mm, and then within Silhouette Studio, create a cut line slightly within the image's outer edge, which would bring the final transfer back to the original size. To successfully do this, you need to be reasonably competent with image editing software, and it also depends on the nature of your image. If the outer edge of your image is a solid colour, then this is a simple process, but if it is patterned or textured, then there is going to be more work involved to make this match. As an example, let's look at how you could do this with a solid coloured image using Adobe Photoshop. First, make a selection around the outer edge of your image and then go to Select, Modify, and then Expand. Now a box will appear allowing you to specify how many pixels to move the selection outwards by. You need it to be about 1mm or a fraction more at print size. Now you will need to fill the expanded area with the same colour as the outside edge of your image. As mentioned earlier, if the outer part of your image is textured, patterned, or has a colour gradient, it is still possible to expand. However, it will require more work and ability with your imaging software. Alternatively, you can just increase your entire image by a small amount and then cut within the outer edge. This will mean losing a tiny bit from the edge, but this may not be noticeable in the final transfer, or you could try to factor this in during your design process. This process will not work with designs with a thin outline at the outer edge. This is because if we were to move the thin outline outwards, it would end up being cut and the design would be ruined. Once you have completed the first step, you need to open your image in Silhouette Studio as usual and set up the cut lines. You can do this whichever way you like, but once you have your cut line in place, select it, and then go to the offset section located at the top of the screen. Here you can select an internal or external offset. We require an internal offset as we need to move the cut line inwards. As with bringing out the edge of the image, we should only need to do this very slightly. You will see that there is now 2 cut lines very close to one another. If you wish, select the outer line and delete it. Make sure you do not inadvertently move the printed image in relation to your cut lines, or the end result will not line up. So now print your image, making sure you have the registration marks turned on. Now proceed to cut, making sure all your cut settings are correct for the paper you are using. Once the silhouette has completed its cut, it's time to weed your design. You will find if you haven't deleted the original cut line, it will have cut twice like we have here. This isn't a problem as the outer area will be discarded anyway. You will see now that the design has been cut out pretty much where the external edge of the design would have been if we had not expanded it earlier, and there are no thin white edges surrounding it anywhere. You can also use the external offset tool to move your cut line outwards if you are cutting a transfer for light fabrics and are experiencing the opposite problem and the cutter is cutting too much off the edge. Thank you for watching, and we hope that this video helped.